Hey there, it's Ginger Bratzel with you. I hope you're doing a fantastic today. It's a wonderful morning. I thought, hey, let's get started. I'm really a morning person, love getting up, getting with you. And I'm coming to you today in this video, this training video, to talk to you about shifting in life, in business, and everything that's going on right now. And I know you're aware of it. You've heard it, you're experiencing it. Your customers, your clients, your patients, they're going through it too. But what do you do with that shift? What do you do with that information? What do you do with that direction? And how can you help people and make it happen? So, what you've got to focus about, we're going to talk about a framework today. And if you can use it at any time, it's just really relevant to right now. It's what your customers need in general. And then what you can help them with to solve those problems. And you have these great services, you love helping people, but right now it's not always the top of their priority. There's so much else going on. It's really hard for us to process all of that. So if business is different, life is different, we have to be different too, to rise up and meet them where they are. That is our job always as a marketer first, is to get into the conversation that's in their head now, not the one we want to promote or the ones we think is important, or what our initials after our name, or what special certifications we have, or what equipment or services. It's about them. We've got to be there for them right now to make that happen. And so we want to help and understand that. And the first thing we need to know is what's going on for them. How are we going to get that information? I don't want to dwell on the negativity of the circumstances right now. I just want to give you a tool that you can use now and later to always be able to accommodate, because that's the only constant we have is change. It will always keep going and making it happen. So you can go through and put it through this machine. Let's put it in there, in one side, out the other, and process what's going on. So you're going to have tools and resources going to hold on to you well beyond 2020 or anything else that comes up in the future, and do it. So, for our customer, for us too, you have to think about, we're customers for somebody else. We're patients for somebody else. We're clients for somebody else. One thing, if you think about it, our brains do not like to burn calories. They do not like to think extra. It is hard being a brain. There's a lot to keep up with it. And if you have school-age kids, when they're really chugging along. So, I can't even say it. I was going to say philosophically is what I was going to say. But physiologically, our brains want to conserve that energy because they're kind of taking care of a lot of higher functions. And so they want easier decisions to make, and that happen. And right now we're burning extra calories. So our job is to make the decision easier. What can we do to help them make that happen? So if we do that, the brain's more likely to go along with it. It said, hey, that's an easy decision versus a hard decision. I will flow that way. And that's how our brains process it. That's how our decision process makes. And when we choose things, and that's how your patients, your clients, your customers do that too. So I'm going to give you a framework in 3 steps where you can go through and you can build these bundles, is what I'm calling them, of things that you can do in packaging and messaging. So what we say about what we do in our business, what we offer in our business, and even sometimes you can even do it with pricing. Make it easy for them to say yes. I was looking at appliances yesterday and I needed one appliance. Well, more I looked around, they were selling everything in bundles. So they were going after homeowners who were looking for a refrigerator and a dishwasher and a stove and microwave, all of that together, and just make that decision easier. Because if you have to go through and evaluate all of those 4 times in the scope of building a house, that's a lot to do. So let's package it up. That's what a bundle is. So we can bundle things together and make it easier for our clients to proceed with stuff. So our first step is we've got to make sure we're listening and watching for what our customers want and what they need, and they are telling us. So when they say no to treatment or service or working with us in some capacity, what do they say? What's holding them back? And that conversation is very different right now. So if we're listening to what they say, we have that identity. We can go through within the scope of what we do and offer other things, or we package them differently, or we position them differently to make that happen. So we need to we need to just listen and ask. So if people are not doing things, or people have been hesitant, we got to find out what's holding them back. So listen to it. You're going to hear the vibe. You're going to hear it come through. You probably can answer that without even talking to somebody right now, but I want you to pay attention to their languaging, how they're saying it, not our interpretation. So, for example, I come from a world of dentistry for many, many years. When a patient doesn't do something, instead of doing the work and figuring out why they didn't do it, they come up, well, they're cheap, or insurance doesn't pay for it. It's too expensive. Well, it's too expensive is what came out of their mouth, but what's really holding them back, there's a lot of other things going on. They didn't really believe they needed it. They didn't value it. It wasn't clear to them. There's all kinds of things like that. So we need to get to the really root of the matter. So that's our first step, is to listen what patients are saying. When what are they struggling with right now? So for instance, let's say you're a financial planner. People are struggling with the economy, trying to figure out what to do. Are they close to retirement? Or they've worked really hard and they saved a lot and they're seeing their funds diminish. So that's one thing that, you're seeing it. You've got to understand what's going on with them, what you can help them with right now. So you might offer these services. Yeah, I help you with your financial, but it might not say that to the way that our brains are thinking. Remember, we got to save our calories. So we got to really understand what they want. So their financial concerns, we've got to talk about it in a whole different way. So first we identified the problem, what's going on in that case. Now, number two, I want you to brainstorm what you already offer or could offer or do differently in your business that would solve that hassle. So let's say, for example, we have a client who's a realtor, and people are stressed out with all kinds of stuff, trying to move during COVID and get all this done and organize all this stuff. And realtors do so much stuff, but she's very transparent about what she's doing and talks about it. I know you guys do a lot of things in your business, but you don't always talk about it. So for instance, most realtors come in and do the appraisal, the analysis and the comps, and they will list it, and they'll do open houses and all those things, but they don't always say that. So she goes through and line items, all the stuff, she does it. And like in our area where she's operating, most realtors do similar services. They're pretty close. So it's hard to stand out if everyone's doing the same thing. And so, one thing she pays for that not all realtors do is professional photos. Instead of just taking pictures, but professional photos. And it does not matter what the price point of the home. So some people only do it over $1 million homes. She does it for every one of her homes. She pays for it. So it's not an extra cost to her client. So that took one thing off the plate. They didn't have to find a photographer. They didn't have to get them in there. Second thing is she does a professional cleaning. So before they come in and take the photos, and before they have that first open house, which is all coordinated in that first week when they first open up, and she's going to be showing it because she's going to get it sold in a week, she coordinates all that stuff. She pays for it. And she tells them this is what she does. So she doesn't do just the open house and the comps and all the stuff. She adds that other service in there, something she does to make it unique for them. She brings in a professional stager before those photos. Not everybody does that, or they only do it at a very high level. She does it for every house. And so even her broker said, the way you're talking about this sounds like you're doing it for everybody, and that's not true. Nobody does. And she said, yes, I do. So we bundled that. That's part of her unique services for her clients to take the hassle off, to make it easy. They don't have to worry about any of that thing. All they have to worry about is the next home they're going to. And she's going to help them with a different way on that. So that's all identified for her clients. So she finds out what she can offer, what she can help that's within her scope in doing it. So for you, it might be, we're looking at, it might be hours. It might be when you're open, if people are having trouble coming in, or accessibility because they can't leave work, they're working from home on Zoom, they've got kids, they're doing homeschooling, whatever the case is, what accessibility can you do? Yes, you can do a Zoom meeting, but do you talk about that in your positioning? I am having a hard time with words today. Positioning. Do you talk about that in your message about how you make it accessible and accommodate them? Are you willing to do out of hours, after hours, so they don't miss work and school? What's going on? That could accommodate them, early hours and late hours. We've got to be concentrating and talking about it. And you might have been doing it before all this happened, but nobody really knows it. It's the front of your message. If that's something's holding people back, it's the front of your messaging and what you put it out there. And then when you put all your bundle together, whatever makes it unique, what you're adding to your services, what you're helping with, what you might be working with, like in a realtor example, bringing in a house cleaner stuff, you got to give it a name. So one of our dental clients, with the concern about COVID and air quality and infection and sterilization and contamination and all those things, which dentists are really good at controlling anyway, they've added another level, and they call it the 3-star level of protection. So not only do they have sterilization that everyone's used to and every dental office has, but nobody talks about, they talk about that. So that's our first level. Second level, they brought in a special air purifier, a HEPA filter that is so precise in such high levels, and it's in every part of the office in several places that sucks up everything. And they talk about that as part of their messaging. It's part of their marketing. It's about alleviating. We're answering those questions before people came in. And then they brought in an air scrubber that goes into their HVAC system that recirculates the air more frequently. And they're talking about it because they know patients are not accepting treatment right now, are coming in. It's not a money issue. They have concerns about it. So they want to make sure it's safe. So to rehash, one, you got to listen what your customer is telling you, what's holding them back, what they really, really need and want. Two, find services and bundles that you can put together that would solve that problem, identifying it and making it happen. And three, name it. Name your system so it's easy to identify. So like the 3-star air quality in our dental example. So then when you talk about it, it makes you unique, and you will do really, really, really well. So this is your assignment this week. Those 3 steps, and you're going to be using them for years and years to come. So don't forget about them. Don't forget about them and always using them. So it's my pleasure. This is Ginger Bratzel. I got